Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Almost Daily Meditations. I know I took a little bit of time off and had intended to start a couple of weeks ago, but just some things got in the way of having time for that. So, looking forward to being back on almost daily, like the title of the thing says. And our purpose here is to offer a little bit of thought about the day and to dive into some spiritual themes. We'll have extra people who will also be joining us in kind of diving into this. One of the things that's going to happen is this next Sunday is our readings are going to focus on the Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, or the Beatitudes as they're often known. And the Beatitudes are the blessings that Jesus offers, or those that are blessed. So remember things like, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, and so on. Part of what happens in Matthew in these first initial chapters is Jesus is establishing his sort of earthly ministry, but also establishing what it is to be part of the kingdom of God and what that means to be a follower of Jesus. And it's always about meekness. And not only do we hear about the Beatitudes, but in the following chapters, we'll start to hear about some different healing that he does and the approaches. And Matthew is filled with stories of that. We have the story of the healing of the lepers, the centurion's servant, the sick mother, calming of the stormy seas, the release of the demonized man, the standing up of the paralyzed man, the healing of the dead girl and the sick woman, the healing of two blind men, and also the healing of the mute man. These are stories that show up in that, and in each of those encounters, you have someone who is on that outward margin of society, and that Jesus approaches them, and that is the approaching of God's kingdom and the healing. So I kind of have a question for you. How many of you have ever been or seen a color run? Do you know what I mean by that? It's one of those places where everybody puts on all these brightly colored powders, and it's kind of a joyful thing that happens often in the spring or in the dead of summer. And it's just, I think it's a lot of fun, but it's also, people are just get covered in, all this color and everything like that. But it's sort of a beautiful moment. And one part of it is you see these great clouds of color and joy and everything being shown, but also people just sort of have a different look about them, and they sort of become something. And I thought about that in terms of how we think about the kingdom of God, and maybe we think about it of an explosion of love, or an explosion of these brightly colored, things that show up in our life, these blessings, these things that come near to us. And it's always in our moments of hurt, our difficulty, and when we're experiencing those times when we find ourselves on that edge, or in the margins of the world, that we probably most encounter God. And that can be in suffering that we go through, and it can be in all kinds of other ways. Fred Roger writes that, I am fairly convinced that the kingdom of God is for the brokenhearted. You write of powerlessness, join the club. We are not in control. God is. So what does that mean for us in our spiritual life? What does it mean to be powerless, to be on the margins, or to know that that's how God's going to reach us? I think it's a joyful thing. It's like those explosion of those colors in the color run. It is something where we can know that God is going to be with us no matter what. And I think that releases a joyfulness of our spirit. I hope you join each day in these little bits of meditation. If you think about it, take some time to make comments, whether you see this on Facebook or if you see it on YouTube. That's always great to have those conversations. But I wonder what for you it means to be blessed, to be blessed, to be in relationship with God, and what it means for you to be in God's kingdom. Just how on the margins are you? Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.